afternoon and welcome to the Queensland State Netball Centre for this Heart Sapphire Series match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. My name is Karen Top and I'll be in commentary this afternoon, and my pleasure to introduce Tara Hinchcliffe, who's joining me. Welcome, Tara.
Hello, Toppy. Thanks for having me on.
It's awesome to have you here. What are you looking forward to today in this match between the Cougars and the Rays, given you're a former Cougar?
Yeah, I've been at the games. It's really nice to be able to sit up the top and have a different view. I think obviously the Rays have had a pretty tough season so far, but I think each game they've obviously gotten a lot better and stronger. And Cougars have come off a pretty big win last week, so I think they probably have some tired bodies out there, so it might be pretty even competition, which would be really great.
Awesome. And just having a look there at the competition ladder, we're seeing Northern Rays, as you said, had a tough season, so they're sitting on the bottom at the moment. They'll be looking to try and win a couple of quarters, I would imagine, today. Yep. And Cougars are sitting out there on top at the moment. They've had a pretty strong season so far, a couple of draws. They'll be wanting to build as we get closer towards finals, I imagine.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard inside news from the camp. I think Bella Sorby's coming back from her knee surgery, so she's meant to be playing quite a bit of the game today. It will be good for her to test out her skills for a longer time. And I guess that's an even matchup on Rays as well, which will be good. Absolutely.
So as we look towards the start of this game, would you like to go through the Brisbane North Cougars and their team list?
Yeah, so goal shooters Riley Holland to start with Binny Hunt at goal attack. Wing attack Chanel Dyer, centre Macy Gardner. Wing defence Maddie Hinchcliffe. Goal defence Ruby Bakewell-Doran. Goalkeeper Remy Camo, which is a pretty standard lineup for them, with Mia Shower, Ali McLeod and Bella Sorby on the bench, coached by Liz White.
And Liz has been coaching at this level for a very, very long time. She's got lots of experience and always brings that to the games that they're playing. Northern Rays today, goal shooter Chantel Tikatau, goal attack Jacqueline Tapay, wing attack Taylor Crossley, centre Michaela Kadalecki, wing defence Ariana Wilcoxon, goal defence Chloe Fredrickson, goalkeeper Chloe Cooper, and their substitutes Zoe McIntyre, Brooke Williams and Kayla Larson. They're coached by Gillian Joyce. Players are just being announced out onto court at the moment, so we'll be getting going very shortly. It will be interesting to see how Cougars come out of the blocks. I imagine they're wanting to really put their foot down and to establish their dominance as soon as they can. Rays will be looking to counteract that.
Rays have had a few really great first quarters over the last few games. I think they nearly won one a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure it'll be a good matchup for the first one. Strong take.
It was. Cougars looking to go very direct to the post on that occasion, which was good sharp ball movement and a great placement for that ball into Riley Holland. Our umpires today, Cara Wennerbaum and Laura, she has got married. Noel Goff is her new married name.
Good work, there you go.
Yes. So both of our A-badge umpires, that they had the opportunity to umpire at the 17th and 19th Nationals in Brisbane here earlier in the year. So they've been having a great season. They'll be looking to continue that as they come towards finals as well.
Very direct plays from both teams on their first centre passes, which will be a confidence booster for them.
Rays have found it a challenge to get into their attacking circle and then to deliver, and Cougars just putting enough pressure on them there to force that error in the pass.
And I've just seen we've got a different lineup to what we got given. So Bella Sorby's actually at goal defence instead of Ruby to start, which will be good to see her in the circle. I think she's played more wing defence so far, so it'll be a good matchup.
Yeah. Chantel Tikatau, Princess or Prinny, affecting that turnover as the Cougars were trying to get it out of the Rays attacking end. So Rays staying even at the moment.
Yeah, some good defensive pressure. That's what we like to see when we get a turnover, just to win it straight back. So that was great work by them.
Yes. As a coach, you love it when your shooters get out in defence and actually make those turnovers. And as a defender, I'm sure you like
it's even better. It's so good.
It's awesome. My teams now, just as we settle into the quarter, just needing to find their rhythm. Great rebound there from Riley Holland. She had really good position underneath the ring to be able to pull that ball in.
She's a very strong shooter to play against at training. She's always a hard one.
Yes. Riley started her career when she was a junior as a keeper. She
Did she?
started shooting when she was about 14 and hasn't really looked back since then.
I think she's definitely found the right position now.
She has. So one of those challenges, you know, when we've got the young players coming through that you never quite know where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
So she was playing in the other team to the one I was coaching when they started to make that swap. She was interested in shooting and the coach had faith in her and gave her a go at it. So it's been awesome to see her development over time.
There you go.
Great timing then from Jacqueline to pay the Rays goal attack. Just not quite able to connect that last pass. Remy's got some pretty heavy strapping on her shoulder there at goalkeeper.
She has. It's nice and bright. Remy's, I think she's sort of similar to me. She's got lots of flexibility, which isn't always a good thing. So sometimes you've got it held tight in place with the strapping.
The green is very bright.
Yes.
It is my favourite colour. It is standing out. Good shot from Binion Hunt. Binion, another of those players that's had some injury concerns throughout her career, and it's great to see her on court this season and having a strong season.
Yeah, she's had a very consistent season, which I'm sure she'd be happy with.
So that determination and perseverance you need to come back from 2 knee recos, particularly in that this younger age group.
Rays are doing a great job here of disrupting in defence, lots of movement, and Cougars aren't getting it down as easily as they'd like to.
The Rays defensive end, Chloe Cooper and Chloe Ferguson, have had a really great season. They've been working really hard, some great positioning. They've got really long arms and good pressure over the ball. They have been winning lots of ball for the Rays. It's that being able to convert their turnovers.
Just the finish, yeah. Rays seem to get onto circle edge pretty well, and then it's just about finding options into the circle.
And again, when they're up against the best defensive end with the Cougars, it's always just a challenge to be able to find a good space.
Yeah.
Cougars are starting to push this scoreline out, 8-2 at the moment, so we're about 5 minutes in. Ray's working hard there in defence to force the Cougars error, which was good. Now, really like to see the Rays get in front of their players to be able to set up. Great defence from Binion.
Yes, if you can get in front and attack, it's much easier for you guys to get the ball down the court.
And again, they're like just probably getting caught on the non-ball side, and Remy doing a great job of just, you know, those long limbs that she has.
They do help her out.
Oh, absolutely.
Some great rebounding by everyone in there contesting.
I do recall coaching against Remy when we were coming through with the, Div 2 State League, and just having to find different ways for the players to work their way around.
Exactly.
Her long arms, long reach.
Yeah, all of that. So it looks like we've got a tactical timeout here by the Rays. Maybe want to find some composure and a bit of circle entry and attack.
Yeah, what sort of things do you think that the Rays could do, given that you're a defender and we know that the defenders are doing a fantastic job? How do they counteract that?
I think it's about being strong. I know the Cougars' defence end work not necessarily by trying to get intercepts, but just confusing the space and forcing turnovers. So I guess if we've got strong drives and attack, that will break them apart, so they can't work together as well. So that's probably what I'd say, as well as what you were talking about before in front position. If we're in front, it obviously makes it a lot harder for defence to get their hands to the ball.
Yeah. And, quite often when they've got those tall players and, they are working to try and split you, actually sometimes you need to go and stand on the body.
Yeah.
And then just time that movement rather than giving that defender enough time to get those long limbs going.
You're exactly right. And it feels weird sometimes to go and find them if you're trying to get away from them, but that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah. And it's nice to try different options, like go back and sit on the body for a little bit and then come off and work your way around. Similar challenges, I imagine, when you're playing against some of those really tall goal shooters.
Yes, the exact same thing. Lots of movement. Mix it up.
Yeah. So you start to get something working out and you're thinking, yep, that's working, and then the opposition will be like, nope, I figured that one out. Shot the space down. So as players, And as coaches, we want our players to have more than one option.
Exactly right.
Great clearing ball then from Cougars.
Yeah, some great down-court vision.
Good back up from Macy.
A great pick-up by Cooper there.
Just really good eyes to the ball.
There we go. That's exactly the feeds we sort of need, just to back your shooters in and let them take it.
And we'll maybe keep an eye on it. It did look a bit like Chantel at goal shooter started out of the circle to take that drive back to the post, and I think that's a really good option for them to explore. She does have pretty good speed. It does take Remy a little while to get herself wound up.
Yeah, the Cougars defenders seem to also do well in the second half, so if Rays can make the most of them now.
Smart
play. Chanel does that very well, and Binion loves to just get as close to the post, so if you can get those bounces all the way in, pretty sure to get the shot.
Chanel's another that came through the underage programs here in Queensland. She spent a little bit of time with some of the New Zealand teams a couple of years ago. And she's been back here in Queensland now, where I think probably this is second season.
Yeah, and she's been with Sunny Coast Lightning, I think as a training partner in their trainings, which has been really good for her as well.
Awesome. Umpire just suggesting that was an incorrect throw-in and turning possession over. Strong pressure from the Rays in defence.
Yeah, definitely. So that's the right body angle we want to be in defence, especially on Riley. She's such a strong holder, so if you can get in front of her and just get your outside hand up so you're not attracting the umpire's whistle, it was great work.
Chloe did that really well. Her body was really straight as she went up, and as you said, used that outside arm. Ray's certainly flirting with the sideline there.
Yes. Oh, straight to the post.
The idea was good.
Yeah.
Not quite.
Just the finish.
Being able to finish it off. Thankfully, it looks like Jacqueline Dupé's been able to walk away from that running into the post.
It's not the best feeling. It's a very hard post, even with that padding on there, if you hit it straight away like she did.
It is.
Great feed into the backspace there.
Macy's spent some time both as a training partner and as part of the team at Firebirds this year, which has been a great opportunity for her. How's it been to have Macy as a teammate again at the Firebirds?
Yeah, it's been really cool. I guess I've seen her still playing Cougars this season, obviously being here watching Maddie. So it's been really nice to have her in the environment more, and I think you can see her maturity is going more and more. And there's I'm going to back Maddie into that intercept. There we go. Yeah, so it's been good to see her, and I think she's brought a lot of experience back to Cougars now as well, which is good.
Great setup from Riley Holland there. She got that front space, gave herself a little bit of room, and allowed the feeder to put that ball at the post.
Yeah, the Cougars feeders are pretty good at just threading the needle sometimes, just pegging it, trusting the girls will get it.
Yes. Great pass there from the Rays. This is when we want them just to be settled.
And great use of the swing ball too. It just opened up. You saw both Cougars defenders were concentrating on the ball and didn't see the movement behind them. So that was great play.
Really want one of the shooters to be able to draw both those defenders and give you some space for the second coming in.
Yep.
Does look like we've had a rolling sub because Mia Stower is on a goal attack.
Cougars they've got three really good shooters on the bench. It's really good to see them rotate pretty much through each game, which has been really nice, I think, to get equal court time, but also, as we were talking about, keeping the defenders guessing so that they're not always on the same player.
Yeah. And just switching up their leads there with Riley coming out of the circle and Mia setting up again in front and opening up to the post. There's great footwork from Chloe Frederickson. Looks like she might have just contacted her with that arm back behind her. She had actually done a great job, I thought, of anticipating where they were going to put that ball.
I remember Chloe was in my age group in underage, and she was always at state trials, and we always just thought her and Kim Jenner as a Will Townsville duo combo were really effective together at their footwork and just anticipating the play.
Yeah.
Great hands. Oh, the long limbs again.
Absolutely. They're doing a really good job. It looks like that space is open to feed the pass into, and then Remy's doing a great job of shutting it down very quickly. Cougars have...
Great defence by the Rays, just covering all the front options as well as going for that back fly, which is really important.
So it challenges the centre court players to not drop into the pocket too early.
Yeah, yep.
If you drop too early, it allows that defender to come with you that Macy needed to hold just for a little longer.
Rays coming up with the turnover, so it looks like that was contact on Mia just inside the circle.
Good timing then from the Rays as they came down.
Yeah, that's a great transition. Oh, unlucky with that last rebound.
It's that challenge because the Cougars are playing at such a pace that the Rays are just finding a real challenge to stay up with. You've done all that work as a goal attack, you get in there, you go to take the shot and just rush it a little bit. Challenge for shooters to be able to take a breath.
Yeah.
Settle into their own rhythm.
It's definitely hard. I think if you're a team who plays at a different tempo to your opposition, it's always hard to try and just take a breath and settle.
For the Fibers this year, when you played against some of those teams that were really fast, did you find any strategies that were effective?
We used to talk about the attackers were saying how, as defenders, I think we just wanted to get the ball to them as quickly as we could. And they were saying just to take a time in defence end and use the resets. So we might play it back to the keeper to give the attacker more time to come together. And that seemed to be a bit more effective in that second half of the season. But I think there's also times you want to get it down quick. If the defenders are behind you, you may as well make the most of it. So it's a tricky balancing act for teams to learn, I think.
Being able to read the game and what's going to work for us now.
Yeah, exactly. And then, yeah, as you said before, for the shooters to get inside the circle, just to take a breath and take their time.
Both the Rays defences seeing what was happening and wanting to close down that space. Just a little bit late orange, unfortunately.
To have that vision, I think, early in the game, because as the game goes into it, you're more likely to get the timing and get involved in those, which is good to contest early and just see what you can get away with, I think, too.
Great move from Princess. She started to take a defender one way, shot back to the post and then on the drive out. The Rays on that occasion in attack did that really well, as in they were in front of their player for each of those balls and, you know, then able to deliver some good passes.
Exactly, and even in that defence end, just all the Rays players were in front of the Cougars defence end, which just put it straight over the baseline, which is exactly what they'd like.
That challenge when you're on the fly that you need to also still be nice and balanced.
Yeah.
So you were mentioning earlier that Bella Sorby's had an injury.
Yeah, so she's just coming back from her, she injured her ACL early last year. So she's just on her way back. She's been playing a few games here and there and just building up her court time.
Oh. Still looks like she's got some serious strapping on it.
I think she says it feels, I think she said it feels okay. It's more just so she knows, like, mentally that she's good to contest and go hard. She's always a player she'll bulldoze anyone if she's trying to get the ball. So I think it's good to see her still having those strong contests and a bit of confidence in herself still. Great pick-up.
It was. It was a good reset to the line. It's just thinking about where do you place it when you've got that defender that's hard on your body.
Yeah, exactly right.
As we've mentioned, the Cougars, just they're so quick with their hands around the body when they're on you in defence, and you've got to really place the ball away from them. Challenge to put that ball in the air against these two defenders. I'd be, as a coach, I'd be asking those players to either fake before you release or to look at coming in with the ball at a lower level so that the defenders don't have as many opportunities to contest in the air.
Yeah, it is hard. I guess you don't want to put it too high, exactly to give the defenders time.
And that ends the first quarter. So the Rays did do some good work there towards the second half of that quarter, being able to get in front a little more often and to have some effective attacking moves.
Yeah, I think coming out of their tactical timeout, they did really well at forcing some more defence pressure and having a bit more patience in attack, which is really good. I'm sure Gillian would be happy with that progress.
Yeah, so as we go in the first quarter break here at the Heart Sapphire Series, match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. We've got the Cougars leading 18-8. We'll be back shortly for the second quarter. Welcome back to the Heart Sapphire Series match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. We're heading into the second quarter with the Cougars leading 18-8. What do you think we might see here in this second quarter now that the coaches have had some time to talk to their players, Matt?
I think it might be a bit more of an even contest. I think the girls have probably settled into their combinations a little bit more and maybe not as nervous or excited like you get on game day. We've seen a few different rotations. I can see Ali McLeod is on in Cougars for wing attack and Ruby Bakewell-Doran for goal defence.
And also some changes for the Rays. Brooke Williams coming into wing attack for the Rays. And we did think that there were going to be some changes in the defensive end. Michaela Cavalis coming into goal defence for the Rays.
Oh, great hunting out there by Chloe. Good contest. You've got to come out for those balls.
What are some of the cues that you find, Tara, that help you when you're going for that ball?
I think it's all about looking about where if the feeder's coming outside, looking at their eyes, and if they're looking straight into the circle or if they're going to have a look on the outside of the circle is often a pretty big hint. If they're not looking into your shooter, you've often got time to come out and have a bit of a look. But I think even if you come out and you haven't got it, it's about the quick recovery back to the post so your shooter's not hanging there or you look a little bit silly.
They happen every so often.
They do happen. You just got to laugh at it when it happens. It's always good to have a contest. You don't want to stop that because they're really impressive ball-winning moments.
Yeah. And as we heard with some of the SSN teams during the year, like you need to keep the feeders guessing and the shooters guessing sometimes as well. So it's making that split-second decision about do I have a go at it or not.
Yeah. And I think there's different times, different games. Obviously, it's a critical moment. You can either say you want to have a risk and you've got to win the ball, or it might be better just to stay on a shooter and make sure you try and take her out of the game. So I think it's knowing what to do in the right moments as well.
Absolutely. So now with Ruby Bakewell-Doran in there, two very tall defences.
Yeah, it'll be different. I guess it's the same sort of thing. They both defenders love an aerial game, so you might have to kick the ball a bit flatter. Ruby seems to be able to turn ball over. You're not even really sure how she got there. So it'll be interesting to see how Rays adjust to her unorthodox footwork.
Yes, she's very, very quick with her feet. She's got a great closing speed.
Yeah.
Very quick with her hands as well. Nice and clean with the outside arm.
It's great to see that the Rays shooters still confident to go for those longer shots. You always want them to take that risk.
Probably just feeling like they appear like they're being pressured into taking the shots, rather than actually coming back and them dictating and setting the tone.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's a challenge when you've got defences that are really pushing you hard. Great delivery from Macy. Mia Stower using her footwork, drawing her defence towards the top of the circle and then dropping back into the space.
Macy and Mia have played together. They're in the same age group, so a lot of nationals, so they've got a really good connection together.
There's great hands over pressure from Maddie. She's also pretty good at getting her hands over and affecting some turnover.
I guess she's an unusually tall mid-quarter really, so they're not quite used to having to put hands over, and I guess when I play against her I'm certainly not the most confident trying to get over her hands, so it's really great to see she uses the most of that.
Plenty of challenges when you're at training.
Yeah, of course, there is. I think when Maddie and I are on each other we sort of tend to, you have this one, I'll take the next one. So it's probably we try to avoid not playing directly on each other because it doesn't make either of us look that great, but it's always good to have her there.
So we have seen Maddie at times playing centre.
Yeah.
How's she finding that transition? Because she was in the defensive circle for a while as well.
Yeah, so Maddie's pretty much played all over the court. So I think she's really enjoying, it's a new challenge playing centre obviously. There's a lot of defence and attack, but I think she's a pretty calm player, so she doesn't seem to get too phased by it. And I think having Riley and such a strong holding shooter, it's pretty easy to feed her the ball, so she's really enjoying it.
Now, did Maddie actually start a career as a goal attack?
Yeah, Maddie and I were both shooters when we first started, and then she was better than me, so I went to defence, and then she slowly moved her way down to follow me, so that's how it all happened.
We've got some players like Serafina that can play both ends.
Yeah.
And then some players that have transitioned from one end to the other.
I think Liz often says to Maddie she's the backup shooter, so if they needed someone who's not in the shooting circle, she'd do it. I'm not sure she'd be overly thrilled or confident, but she'd have a go.
Most defenders like to be thought of as the backup shooters, don't
yeah,
they?
we all love it. We all practice shooting, I think, more than the shooters sometimes. It's all a bit of fun, but they're definitely much better than us.
Good strong take from the Northern Rays centre on that occasion. She was able to hold her position, wait for that ball to come to her and handle the bump in the air, and the umpire deeming it to be a good contest because both players were nice and straight.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really great as an attacker too, if you don't try to wait for the umpire to react. Sometimes they're not going to get the call, so to call that in nice and strong sends a pretty good message to your defender too that you're not about to let them take it off you.
Rays probably just dropping off their pressure there on the centre pass. It'd be great to see them actually having a go at those balls and trying to actually make the kickers work a little bit harder coming off the line.
And it might be worth working together, so maybe putting on a bit of a wall or helping each other out a little bit more just to see if that might come up against something, because obviously one-on-one's always hard if you're all on great matchups, so you try to help each other out. And
is that challenge when the scoreline's starting to push out of still focusing on the moment and what can we do right now and how can we make our opponents earn the win?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's hard, I guess, when you see the score and you might be feeling a bit deflated, but I think also when you look at this, like Rays are still winning ball, they're getting turnovers, and it might just be being patient and just trusting that if you just do one pass by one pass, it'll eventually get down there.
And it looks like Zoe McIntyre is also coming into goal shooter for the Rays. Good rebounding position from Riley Holland. Zoe's one of the young up-and-coming players in the Northern Rays team. She did have an ankle injury, so it's great to see her back on court.
I think she played in the, I played for Cougars in the Netball World Cup break. We went up to Townsville and she was a really hard shooter to play against.
What did you find that she was able to do well
think just her movement, she's a bit slighter, so she's pretty slippery, and you lost her a bit. It wasn't easy to find her around. And just her shooting accuracy, when she's got it, when she's on, she's really on. It's really hard to stop it.
Cougars would be pretty happy with their statistics at this point. Their centre pass conversions, they're scoring at 100%, and also their turnover games are at 100%. It's one of those things for the Rays that at the moment their centre pass conversions is down at 17%. So wanting to really be working hard on how can we find better lines to the ball.
I think it might just be simple little things like that pass there. It's just one little inch of pass placement. If we can just hit it straight to their players and everyone can take a breath and settle, that would be very helpful.
And as we've said a couple of times, that challenge in the Cougars are really playing hard and forcing a lot of those balls to be just a little bit out of reach. You know, as a player, it's like, oh, I've got to put it that little bit further or that little bit harder, try and get away from the opponent. But then it makes it hard for your teammate. Quick interchange for the Cougars as well, with Riley Holland coming off and Binion Hunt coming into goal shooter.
Binion hasn't played much goal shooter this year. She's been mainly playing goal attack, so it'll be good to see the combination her and Mia have together. Riley's had a pretty great season. She's very accurate, so she hasn't had much rest. I'm sure she'll be glad for a bit of a rest as well. But Binion will love goal shooter. She's got a bit more freedom and she can set up some more plays if she's not as tired, which will be good.
And again, the Rays just really struggling to find a way into their circle. Like trying to go with that high ball, which Remy said, thank you very much, I like those balls. As feeders, you start to feel like, I just can't see anything, I can't find any spaces, there's nowhere to go. And it's continuing to look for what can I do as a feeder to actually create some space for my attacker.
Looks like Chloe Cooper's come off. I think she had a bit of an ankle injury early on in the first quarter. She was getting it checked over at quarter time and she seems to be getting it looked at again now. So hopefully that's nothing too serious.
So Zoe McIntyre just probably needing to find a couple more options in the circle at the moment because Remy's certainly covering the front space. She does give away a little bit of height. Zoe's probably used to being able to take that ball, but when you've got a competitor like Remy against you, definitely a challenge.
And it might be about making Remy maybe have a look at outside, so maybe get a draw her out and make Remy stay out there because she'll try and win the ball and then pop back to the post.
Yeah, and that's I think what you were saying earlier when you played against Zoe. You know, it'd be nice probably to see her take a drive to the circle edge and then drop back to the post. See if she can get Remy moving one way and then head the other way herself.
Great contest flying through the back space there. That's what we need, Rays working together. So the keeper had the front position on Binion and pushed her further back and then goal defence flying through.
Chanel Dyer coming into centre as well for the Cougars. It's been a while since the Rays have been able to score, so it'd be nice to see them just take some simple options.
Yeah, definitely. This quarter seems to be 17-1 so far, so I'm sure they'll be feeling the pressure too because there's nothing worse on court than knowing that that's all you want to do.
Absolutely. And that's, again, just one of those examples of Ruby, like, moving her feet, getting the arm around the body, being really clean in what she was doing.
It's great that the Rays shooter was able just to take that back strongly though.
Absolutely.
Contest and finish off with that shot.
Fantastic for them to get another goal on the board.
Yep.
Good challenge on that ball that swung across the circle.
Yeah, Cougars had to work fairly hard to get that ball in, a few swings and coming in and out of the circle, so that's great pressure by Rays defence.
Chloe Fredrickson was moving her feet really well. Binion did a great job to just keep moving around until she had her on her back and then opened up the space to the post. Great ball.
Yeah, great take too.
Just now wanted to be settled. And great shot.
Great.
Cougars working really well at reading off the player in front and timing that movement and the pass being delivered as they get to the space.
Yeah, Cougars, I've been at a few of their sessions lately and they've been doing a lot of work on that, just the little simple basics of helping each other out. I think a lot of the girls just love to do the work and they want to get every second ball, and it's just knowing that you don't have to do it all and we can set it up for each other as well, which is really good to see that working.
There's great approach to the circle then. Zoe McIntyre doing a good job of coming out through the middle and being able to just open some space up. Just not quite able to finish off that last pass. As Cougars keep getting in between them and the ball.
There we go, but then Ray's forcing the turnover again, causing some confusion and ending up with the ball. Rays have really done well to bring themselves back into the game. Cougars had a big streak on them, but now it's been goal for goal for the last few centres, and there we go, they get it back again.
Again, that challenge of, Jacqueline DePates did a great job of pulling that ball in. Ruby was right there.
Yep. And it looks like we've got Bella Sorby coming on to wing defence. It's another substitution for the Cougars.
Probably just showing some frustration at the moment with the way things are going. So that challenges an athlete to then be able to take a breath, put it aside and get on with the next one.
And I think it's different for either end as well. Like in defence, sometimes if you're frustrated, that can help you. And I play better if I'm a little bit angry, go out in the wind ball. But I think for shooters, a lot of them, most of the time, it's important to stay calm and just relax so you can focus on putting the ball up.
Footwork call there, causing the turnover at this point in time. Again, Cougars.
Oh, three Cougars and one Ray, and they come away with it.
Cougars taking one another out there.
As we said, Bella, if she's going to get the ball, she'll do whatever she needs to do.
3 players closing on the one Rays player, so thankfully everyone came out of that in one piece.
And it's great to see Rays making the most of that opportunity to get it straight down to the shooter and score off it as well.
Good balance from Binny, and then just to hold that ball long enough for me to drive into the circle and set up for that pass. That footwork from the shooters where they take 1 or 2 steps one way and then dodge back the other, it can be so effective when you can get the timing of it, when you've convinced your player or your opponent that that's what you're doing.
Exactly.
So as we go into half-time, the Cougars have had a strong quarter, leading the Northern Rays 40-12. What have you liked about what's been happening on court in the last quarter, Matt?
I really like the defence from both ends. I think both ends are winning ball, and it's just about the maybe the composure and just direct plays. It's helping Cougars score off it. But I think Rays did really well in that last half of that quarter. They scored 3 goals out of about 6 or 7 that were scored, so that was much better effort from them.
Absolutely. And the Cougars have been transitioning fairly seamlessly with their changes, and they've been working really hard on being up to timing to the ball as well as placement of passes.
I'm sure Liz would be pretty happy with them, but she's always got lots of feedback, so I'm sure there'll still be some improvements to be made in the second half.
Yes, Liz is always asking them to continue to improve and be better, which is the same for most coaches, I'd like to say.
Yeah.
So we'll go into this halftime break. Looking forward to what we see in the second half, and for the Rays to keep working on their timing and to build a few more goals in that process. Welcome back. Welcome back to this round 12 Heart Sapphire Series match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. We're going into the second half of the match with the Cougars leading 40-12. Lots of talk from both coaches during the break. What do you think some of the messages might have been as they come back for the second half?
I think for Rays it looked like there was a lot of talk going on to the mid-quarters, which makes sense, I guess, if they're trying to maybe improve their circle entry conversion and their centre pass conversion. So we'll see maybe just a bit more patience and just some definite drives and attack. And I think for Cougars, it'll just be about building on this quarter. They've made a few more changes in their defence end, so I think just coming up and making those combinations and keeping the pressure on.
So Cougars, some good movement to score the first goal of that quarter. Looks like the Rays have made some significant changes in their attack end, just looking to see if they can get the combinations working. So Chantel Tikataw has come back into goal shooter. It looks like Taylor Crossley has moved from wing attack into goal attack, and Jacqueline Dupay is now in at wing attack. So I imagine they're looking to see if Jacqueline can get onto the circle edge strongly and to then be able to feed those balls in around the tall Cougars defences.
Yeah, and Rays seem to have kept their defence end, which is good. They were really building that pressure, and I can see Chloe's on the sideline. She hasn't got her shoe on, so she might not be coming back in, which will be disappointing for them, but their defence end's been winning some really good ball and putting a lot of pressure on.
Cougars doing a really good job of clogging the Rays up around the transverse line and then forcing a high ball, which, again, Ruby's very gladly accepted.
She has.
Cougars got the ball down quite quickly in their attack as well.
And opened up really nicely on the baseline there by Binion. Mia drawing both the defenders out and Binion just happily under the post.
As a defender, how do you counteract that?
I think it's a lot of communication between the goal defence and goalkeeper, knowing that you obviously want to cover the shooter who's making a move, but also you don't want to leave the other shooter straight under the post. So just a lot of communication and talk to each other so you know where each other are. Mm-hmm. It's definitely hard. I think as defenders you just see the ball and you want to go and win the ball. So it happens quite often you just get both drawn to it. Mm-hmm. But just knowing that you've got to help each other, which might just be hanging out and waiting for the next pass as well.
So when you're talking about communication, because when I'm coaching and with the kids and you ask the question, they're like, we need to communicate. What are some of the key things for communication that you find effective when you're defending with someone? Yeah,
I think Kim and I have talked about it a lot this season with Firebirds, about whether I'm calling to her where I want her to go or where I'm calling where I need to go. So that's often how we just need to clear that up first. If I'm saying, you go left, we've found that for us calling left and right often helps us quite a bit. So if we can say, you go left, we know that she's just going to run left and I'm in charge of anything on the right side.
Yeah.
And just being really clear, so not just yelling words, making sure we're actually trying to say something rather than just making noise.
Cool. So it was a really strong shot there from the Northern Rays. From Chantel Tikataw. They had a great build-up and got a strong shot. Just looks like they've had a change, possibly due to injury.
Yeah.
So Michaela Kadlasek has come off. Just trying to identify who it is that's come into goal defence. So working the ball down the court more effectively there. Again, being able to get in front of the player makes a difference on that transition. Strong rebounding from Ruby Bakewell-Doran.
Another great effort with a confident shot from Rays. It's still good to see them try and put the ball up, and they are working their way closer to the post. Again, Cougars forcing that turnover just by being in front of the player and making the Rays push that ball a little bit further than they'd probably like to.
Brooke Williams currently in centre for the Rays as well. Binion's really timing that movement in the circle well, just setting herself up for a shot right underneath the post.
Yeah, Binion's got really great timing. I think she'd be enjoying that at shooter, having a bit more time to see what's happening and just really make sure that her drive's punchy and right where it needs to be. A great shot.
Taylor Crossley has really good footwork and nice fast drives, I've found from the couple of games that I've seen, and she's using that to effect at the moment.
We've got another change for Cougars. Macy Gardner's come on at wing attack, so we've got more rotations going on.
Strong drives, good timing.
Great to finish on that shot. That just shows what happens when you just make confident, definite drives and we give the ball to the attackers. We're able to really clear those Cougars defenders out of the way.
Timing is such a key thing. And being able to read the game and to actually be able to determine, do I go now? How fast am I going? Which direction am I going so that it's going to be effective?
Exactly. It's a really hard thing to learn. I think it's a hard thing to coach as well. It's sort of just like instincts and seeing what's happening on court and trial and error.
Yes. Could see that was a really good idea. Princess saw that Taylor Crossley was making that drive on the baseline, just not quite able to connect the passes on that occasion. And it's that challenge as a coach. It's like, I can see they're having a go at it and I want to encourage them to have a go at it, but also really weighing up the risks, which is what you were talking about earlier, about also coming out for those balls into the pockets.
Great pressure there by Cougars defenders. We had great pressure by Bella on hands over outside the circle, and both the defenders inside were moving around and causing a bit of havoc.
And I felt like then on that occasion the shooters were both working on moves that in other circumstances would normally work for them.
Yeah.
And every time they did something, the Cougars just matched them.
Yeah.
And not able to break free or to do something different in that moment, which was what then contributed towards the whole ball.
I think for the Cougars, I don't think even Remy and Ruby know exactly what they're doing at times. They just sort of tend to put their arms out, use their limbs and just move around and make it look like it's busier than it probably is, which is hard. And great inset there by the Rays. Good vision to come outside.
Could see Chloe Fredrickson had eyes to that ball as soon as it came out of the attacker's hands. And again, like Princess wanting to make that drive along the base. The Rays knowing that she likes that particular drive. Remy doing a great job of shutting it down. Challenge for the Rays just to keep working and seeing how can they find a way to make it work.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's got to come from the coach on the sideline, but also the girls on court probably need to have a bit of a chat if they can, just in the back line while the ball's not with them, to try and come up with some new ideas and see what they can put out there.
That's some really smart play.
Yeah, that was really good ball movement by the Rays, and I think we would have nearly had it, except Taylor seemed to get a bit tripped up as she came into the circle.
Mm-hmm. Good strong shot then from Princess.
Yeah.
No, good range. Strong pressure over the ball, and she was still confident in putting it through. Did want to dribble over the edge, and it got there.
There's a good defensive pressure down this end as well. The Cougars struggling to get it through.
We've got some amazing partners that sponsor our Heart Sapphire series, and it's always a pleasure, or makes it pleasurable for the competition to have those people on board. Certainly Powerade, Mizuno shoes. The players in the competition were given a pair of Mizuno shoes and have been wearing those both on and off the court. Legassic Jewelers, who are the sponsors for the Katie Wilkes Sapphire, which will be for the MVP of the competition. By all accounts, that's a very close race at this point in time, and we're looking forward to seeing who's the first recipient of such an amazing award.
It is great to have the help by sponsors off the court, just so the girls, when they come on the court and their teams working behind the court as well, just to know that everything's going to happen and they can get this competition and focus on making it the best it can be.
Absolutely. Chloe Fredrickson is just continuing to go hard out throughout this whole game. She's really hustling, using her feet, chasing any ball that she can.
Which is great to see, and I think that will inspire the rest of her team to see her having a crack and keeping on going. It's always good when you can watch your teammates do that, and then you want to go out and do the same thing.
And when you're against shooters like Riley and Binion and Mia, reality is you may only get 1 or 2 balls.
Yeah.
So how do you keep going and keep having a go at it? What are some of the things that you found this year in SSN that you've needed to do against some of those really strong shooters?
Yeah, I think it's about mixing it up, and I think I was talking about before in the centre pass, but working together a bit more. So not necessarily leaving it as a one-on-one in the keeper. Sometimes if I was a little keeper down the back with, say, Janelle Fowler behind me, it's often hard to know you'll probably win 1 ball a game off her. But if you can win the ball early and try and have a hunt and look outside, if it gets into the circle, sometimes it's a little bit too little too late. You've got to try. You can still try and do the best you can, but once it's in there, they're pretty accurate. So I think trying new things out the front and having your goal attack and wing attack come down on the centre pass as well to help out with the defence can be really helpful.
Do you have to have any particular mental strategies to deal with that?
I think it's just knowing that once you get that 1 ball, just to really celebrate yourself. We always talk about celebrating the little win. So if that's 1 ball that you're going to get, just being happy and knowing that you're still causing pressure and you might make them throw it over the baseline, and that's just as good as an intercept, really. So I think just taking any little wins, or if they take 20 passes to get in rather than 2 wins, just backing each other up and having a good smile with all your other defensive teammates as well.
Cool. It's often easy for a coach to say you may only get 1 ball, but for the player on court, that challenge to feel like you're doing a good job when you're not getting them very often, I always find interesting and challenging talking to players about.
Yeah.
The Rays have been putting some good pressure on the Cougars on that centre pass now.
Yeah.
They're having to go back a little more often.
Yeah, when Cougars, the attackers seem to be sort of chilling behind their plays, not really coming forward as much, which is just credit to the Rays defence, tiring them out a little bit.
Chloe Frederickson continuing to still try and get those intercepts wherever she can. It was good movement to come up the middle.
Yeah. And still confident to have a go at those shots. It might be about the other shooters getting under the post and trying to help out with those rebounds.
Yeah. Again, it's that challenge between balancing up the shooters being confident going to the post and perhaps actually trying a quick refeed to shake the defender off and get a little bit closer and give yourself a little bit more time. So much of our game is about decision making.
Yeah, it is, and you don't realise until you're playing or it's not necessarily working. You've got to decide on court by yourself. And I think trying to, as a coach, I'm sure you know, it's sort of hard to teach that in trainings as well.
It is. Our challenge as coaches is to set up lots of different activities that give the players opportunities to build their decision-making skills and then to reward the players. And like I said earlier, you know, a couple of times it's like, that was a good idea.
Yeah.
How can we work on it the next time for it to come off?
Great rebound effort there. Unlucky not to pull it off, but just seeing that pressure on the ball will mean the Cougars defenders don't think they'll get it easily, and they'll be probably more hesitant to go for it as well.
So Maddie Hinchcliffe back on the court at wing defence as well.
And Riley Holland's come on to shooter. So again, Liz is really making the most of her bench, which is good. I guess the players won't be getting too tired. Rays with a few injuries probably be struggling to do the same, and I'm sure they'll be feeling a bit more fatigued.
Yeah. Ray's goal defence doing a great job of really running with Mia on that occasion.
Yeah.
Just changing a body angle at the last moment for the umpire to call it as a contact.
You can see that Liz must have talked about hands over pressure for the Cougars. They've had hands over pretty much down every ball down the court. And again, Ruby just somehow coming up with the ball.
That was just amazing work with her outside arm.
Yeah.
It really looked like the Rays had set up a good space to protect that ball, and she's just so good at sweeping her arm around and scooping that ball out.
And confident shot by Mia down the other end to finish it off as well.
So Zoe McIntyre now on a goal attack. So the Rays are continuing to explore and looking for different ways to be able to get their attack end working.
And there's still another game in the season for Rays next week as well, so they want to be trying everything they can.
fantastic feed.
There you
Really
go.
threaded the needle on that occasion.
Yeah, exactly. And for the shooter then just back herself and put it in.
The Cougars have been doing a good job of, at times, really moving the ball down court fast, having everyone in the attacking end timing the ball really well, and balancing that up with sometimes resetting and using their defenders coming through onto the line.
I think that's really improved throughout the game. I know early on we talked about how everyone was sort of racing and balls were going over the baseline. They've seemed to rein it in a lot more and a lot more control.
Check on Depay at wing attack, just very casually lifting her foot that was over the line, so the umpire didn't see it.
Well, she didn't look at it, so she got away with it.
She absolutely did. So the Cougars go into three-quarter time break, leading 64-20. We'll look forward to you joining us for the final quarter of this round 12 Heart Sapphire Series match. Welcome back to this round 12 Heart Sapphire Series match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. We're heading into the final quarter with the Cougars leading 64-20. Northern Rays will be looking to finish this game strongly and hoping that they can maybe even claw a bonus point from the Cougars. Cougars have been in form and are rolling on at this point in time, so it'll be interesting to see if they can stop them.
Yeah, the Rays have made a few more changes in defence, and their winger defence who was injured has come back on. So that's good. We'll see if they can build on that pressure they had in that second quarter again.
So it also looks like Jacqueline Depay's moved into centre, that Taylor Crossley's in wing attack, Chantel Tikatau in goal attack, and Zoe McIntyre in goal shooter.
And for Cougars, Ali McLeod's on at wing attack and Macy Gardner's moved back into centre.
Cougars will be looking, I think, to continue to minimise their mistakes.
Yep.
And to affect as many turnovers as they can.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as fatigue sets in, no matter how good your team is, you're going to have a few more mistakes. So I'm sure they want to keep them to a minimum.
Strong off the line from Ali McLeod. She had a really good angle, good speed. challenge would be for Kayla, the wing defence from Northern Rays, to see if she can put a bit more pressure on that particular drive.
You can see then the pressure from Cougars on their centre pass, just working together and swapping players. Sometimes it's scary, especially as goal defence, to not be on a goal attack, knowing that they could run straight into the circle, but often it makes the goal attack feel a bit confused as well, and they can turn over the ball.
Yeah. And again, just that amount of pressure from the Cougars is really forcing the Rays to feel like they should be going fast.
Yep.
And then not then quite in as much control as they'd like to be. Trying to convince teams that you don't have to play as fast as your opponent is always a challenge. It was a great movement then from Taylor Crossley to pop back for that ball.
And a great ball in on the throw in as well. Fake it, move the defenders, and then put it straight in.
I'd like to see them doing that more often and see if they can really shake Remy and Ruby off defensively.
I think it's good once you feel that confidence and they can see it work, to see if they can just try again.
Chloe Fredrickson had really good strong hands over the ball, just moved in a little more quickly and backed into the player. Ruby with that awesome outside arm.
Good contest there by Macy, and Ray struggling to throw it back in to find their own players.
Riley does that sweep of the circle quite well.
Yeah, she's very effective. She has the timing right as well to go slow, and then you think you've got her, and then she just zips straight in.
It's great as a shooter to have that versatility between having a really strong hold and the ability to also use your speed and to sweep the circle.
Exactly, because then as a keeper you're not sure what you should be doing, whether you should be trying to hold strong on her or make her run. Often as keepers we're told make the shooters run, but if she likes to run too, that's also hard. Looks like we've got an injury here to Remy.
Looks like it may be an ankle or a knee. We're not quite sure. Didn't see that happen. Oh.
She wasn't happy on it straight away, and Remy's not... she's a pretty strong person. She doesn't like to carry on with injury, so it doesn't look too good. She's not...
Hopefully she'll be okay.
She's still smiling on the bench, so hopefully that's an okay sign.
The medical staff is with Remy on the sideline, and I'm sure Sarah Lewis, who's been their physio for a very long time, will be looking after her.
Another opportunity for Bella Sorby to try a new position, so she'll be in for goalkeeper, so she'll be in 3 different positions during the game.
That challenges a feeder to decide, do I go to that person that's set up in front, the good, sharp, short option?
Yeah.
Or do I have my eyes up and also see that I've got the other shooter popping out at the post?
Great move by Riley there to find the body and roll off.
Cougars continuing to push the scoreline out, 72-21. What do you think that they'd be happy about in the game that they've played today?
I think each of their quarters seem to have been fairly consistent in terms of the scores they've been putting on, which is good in terms of making sure they're not slowing down an attack and they're really pushing forward. I'd say their turn conversion rate still looks pretty good as well. So, I mean, Liz will always find something else to say. She'll probably say just a bit more patience. There's been a few balls that have gone straight over the baseline, so maybe just taking a breath and maybe going for that short option more, not having to force it in long. But overall, they've had a pretty good game.
And what can the Northern Rays take out of this game, do you think?
I think maybe, like we were talking about before, looking at what's worked and what's worked really well for them and just trying to maybe put that into practice more and more. Like those fakes to move the defenders and put them into space. And again, the defensive effort, while shooters have been scoring, it hasn't been easy for them all the time. So just keep working on that. And I think with a few injuries as well, they've probably had players playing in lots of different positions. So just knowing that everyone's had a bit more experience, they can go into next week.
Great defence.
There you go. That's what we need next week, just lots of that.
Good strong hands over and really timing the movement. And as we've mentioned a couple of times, you've got to stay in the moment to be able to do that.
Yeah.
If you're worried about what's not been working or, other things, then you forget about what you can do right now.
Exactly, and I've seen a few articles talking to Gillian about how Rays have approached the season and looking at quarter-by-quarter scores rather than the whole scores. And I'm sure they'll have their own targets to hit as well. It'll be hard to look at that score on the scoreboard, but if they're ticking off some of their goals, they should still be happy and have a few things to work on as well as a few things they're happy with.
And again, part of that is because Kayla at wing defence had really strong hands over the ball.
Yeah.
Was making that ball go higher in the air.
Exactly, and it's simple things like hands over. You might be behind the ball or not quite in the play like you'd like to be, but if you get your hands up, sometimes that's a tiny difference and that's all it takes.
I also like to see the Rays sometimes just actually stopping when they get possession and getting themselves settled and balanced before they try to give off the next ball.
Yeah.
It's that challenge, like the Cougars are forcing them to go fast. It's like, yep, okay, I've got this ball, now I just need to pause for a moment, see what's around me and then release the next pass.
Exactly, I think that's the timing of the drives as well. Everyone, as well as the person with the ball, but if the attackers are driving, maybe they can wait a second, give them a second to take their breath and then go.
Great defence.
There we go. And good smart moves. They could have easily gone over the back and tried to go behind Bella, but it looks like they've learnt to go short and sharp and straight in front.
Yeah. It was good use of that turnover and good persistence to be able to force the turnover.
Yeah. And again, that's hands over pressure. They had two people's hands over at the front. They hesitated to throw that easy ball and try to look long, and the Rays have it. Back to Ruby again.
The lesson to today is find a different direction rather than go over the top of Ruby Bakewell-Doring.
And it's often hard because I think when you're playing, you think the space might be in the air. There's obviously a lot of bodies on the court, so you try to go up, but I think Ruby's that's exactly what she's wanting them to do as well.
Yes. And she does. She moves her body so well so that she can go straight up in the air for those balls. Again, a good idea, and it was on. Strong drive from Ruby through the midcourt. Great to see the defenders able to continue to support the team in attack as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's easy as a defender once you win the ball to think your job's done, but we've got to get all the way down to the line or at least past that centre circle to help our attack end out.
What do you find for you as some of those differences if you go from goalkeeper out to goal defence or vice versa? What do you need to change up on the court?
I think obviously the main one is attacking transition like we were talking about then. As goalkeeper you're still involved but you're more of like a reset or a shorter option, whereas goal defence you've got to really take your player and make some space to drive into. And then obviously you're a lot more involved in the centre pass and defence, so working a lot more with the wing defence rather than just thinking about goalkeeper-goal defence combination is really important.
Great defence from Zoe McIntyre, just not quite able to get a strong pass off so that they could make use of her great defensive effort.
I feel like Rays have been getting the ball into their circle a lot more this quarter. It seems to be getting down there and then either finishing with a shot or just coming out, but that's a big improvement from when earlier on in the game where they were losing it just across that transverse, so that's a big positive.
Yeah. So Riley's so strong in her body positioning for that ball to come over.
She is. It makes it really easy for the mid-quarters to start her and see where she wants the ball, and also hard as a defender because you might just get into the right position and think you've got her, and then she's pretty quick to change and then come back.
Ray's goal defence is throwing everything that she can.
So I think the whole Rays defensive end, no matter how down they are, they've been throwing everything they can to get any ball, which is really great to keep putting their attackers in position to try and have a go at getting some shots in.
The Cougars are just really showing confidence in delivering the ball to one another at the moment.
Yeah.
If they notice that the Rays' eyes are even down a millimetre, they're just letting go.
They've got that baseline drive by Riley again, just cutting through the two defenders.
So we've got about 4.5 minutes left to go in this game. Cougars 83 to the Northern Rays 22. I'm sure that...
Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm sure that the Cougars have set themselves targets in this match as well, so it'll be interesting to see where it ends up.
Great shot there by Riley. Riley and Binny seem to be pretty good at when they're falling out of court and just chucking the ball up and hoping it lands, and I think it shows their practice pays off. They practice that quite a bit at training as well, not shooting under perfect conditions. Often you're under a bit of pressure to get it in.
Riley.
Great hands by Binny in there.
Chanel Dyer's come back on to wing attack. Rays using their back line, just seeing if they can get then reorganised in front.
Yeah, and that patient play seems to be working for them. It means their attackers can stay near the circle and try and sort out their positioning and use each other for screens and stuff as well to get in.
Wasn't quite the placement we were looking for, but Zoe McIntyre doing a great job of chasing that ball down and taking a really good balanced shot.
Yeah, exactly.
She does have a really nice shot and has good range on the shot as well.
Which is really hard when you're a defender, not knowing whether you should push your shooter out or push her towards the post. If they can shoot from everywhere, you sort of feel like you might be stuck either way, so it's good to see her making the most of that.
Smart move for the Rays then to see over the mess that was in front of the person with the ball. Clever hands from Maddie Hinchcliffe on that occasion. It did look like Taylor Crossley might have had the ball.
Cougars again having that direct play straight onto circle edge with the Rays defenders a little bit behind them just means that they've got the vision into the shooters without those hands over, and we've seen what a difference hands over can make.
Binny working really hard on that entry into the circle and able to keep her body nice and straight. What are you finding these days with regard to like the strength and conditioning and the amount of strength you do need to have when you're on court?
Yeah, I think it's obviously gotten each competition, not only Suncorp Super Netball but also Heart Sapphire Series, I think it's just more professional every game you watch, which obviously just shows that the effort and the resources that all the teams have put into conditioning these girls and making them nice and strong is really paying off, because it means the games are better quality and you're more likely to be able to recover and back up for each game, which is really important. I think that's one of the biggest difference you've found in Sapphire Series this year. Making it a bit more professional has really paid off in the girls being stronger and fitter and faster and ready to play, which has been had a big impact even for the Rays as well. They've come into the competition fairly strongly, whereas in other years they haven't necessarily been in the top division, but they've been really able to match it up one-on-one on the girls.
That was a really strong defensive effort from Jacqueline Dupay in the Cougars' attacking end. Good transition of the ball down court and smart feeds into the circle for the Rays to score a goal close towards the end of the match. Tough to get a rebound when you've got two Cougars players in front of you. Really nice quick refeed between Riley and Chanel Dyer.
And great jump there to put Riley off her timing. Riley likes to be able to shoot pretty much as soon as she turns around, so having that jump on is really effective.
Be great for Rays to be able to score this goal in the last minute of the game. So they've had a good build-up.
There we go.
Fantastic shot from Prinny. If they can hold the Cougars out. Cougars at the moment 89-25 in this match.
Ten seconds to go. We'll see whether Rays can get it into their circle.
Good use of the front space there on that occasion.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, the Hooter just beating them there.
So a really great match from the Cougars, earning their top spot on the ladder as we finish this match between the Cougars and Northern Rays. Northern Rays showing some fight towards the end of that game, showing and hopefully learning some of the things that really work when you're playing against a team like Cougars who move the ball fast.
Yeah, definitely. We're seeing the quarter scores up on the screen now, and you can see Rays in this first and third quarter were able to get 8 goals against Cougars, which just shows that when they're competitive and they can get the ball down the court, they've done really well. And I think Cougars are fairly consistent. They're a pretty high-scoring team. Obviously, when you've got Riley and Binion and Mia down that end, you can pretty much peg the ball into them. So it was a great high-scoring game by Cougars, but also by Rays, that consistency. And if they can build that consistency across the whole game, I think they'd be really great next week.
Absolutely. So Cougars, you mentioned earlier they're going into a bye next week before finals. We see that they are sitting on top of the ladder, that they've had 10 wins and 2 draws. Pretty high percentages there at that point in time. Going into a bye, is that what you want before the finals?
I think it's a tricky one. Obviously, the girls will be ready for a rest. They haven't had a bye all season, except for early on in the season. So it'll be great for them to have a weekend away. It's been a long year for a lot of the girls, but also, I guess, and they've got to come back into semis and really be firing straight away. Liz is a pretty hard taskmaster of a coach. I'm sure they'll be still having very solid training sessions and probably putting a bit more intensity into them so that they can enjoy next weekend and have it off, but also come into semis really firing because they'll need that.
Yeah. So we're seeing that, as we said, Cougars are sitting on top of the ladder in front of QUT Wildcats, Ipswich Jets and the Bond University Bull Sharks. With Carina Leagues Club Tigers only 1 game out of the finals, sitting on 122 at the moment. So we've got a couple of really interesting matchups the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Will be interesting to see the outcomes of those games and how that has an influence on the ladder.
The Bull Sharks have had a really impressive second half of the season once they've got Siggy Berger in, so that's a big game coming up next.
Yeah. So when we look at the statistics that are on the screen at the moment, centre pass conversions are very strong for the Cougars.
Yeah, and I think Liz will be pretty impressed with that. To only drop 4 centre passes throughout a game is not a bad effort. I guess having, as we said, those direct shooters, once you can get the ball into them pretty strong, it's obviously a big advantage for the Cougars there.
Yeah, interesting. I'm not sure about that turnover stat. I wouldn't have thought that the Cougars had turned over 55 balls.
Yeah, I'm not really sure. That seems like a lot of ball, but I guess we did talk about quite a few of the girls having just those outside arms in those contests. Mm-hmm. I think no matter how many turnovers they got, Liz will be happy with 85% for a turnover conversions. Pretty good, especially if you've won that much ball to get it through the court. It's hard being a defender transitioning out to the attack, so that's a really positive for the Cougars. We might have to check our stats, and that could be a turnovers gained. Yeah. Which would make more sense of what we're having a look at. Shooting percentages, again, the Cougars sitting at 83%, so doing quite a good job out there, and all 3 shooters doing particularly well while they're on court. Rays wanting to continue to build their shooting percentages when they're under so much pressure from their opponents. It's been a pleasure to have you with us today, Tara, for that match between the Cougars and the Northern Rays. Thanks for having me. It's great view up the top. We have to see it's different watching the games rather than playing, but it's a nice change. Absolutely. So thank you for your company this afternoon for this match that we've just played here at the Queensland State Netball Centre. There's lots of great netball still to come this afternoon, so if you'd like to come on down and join us, we'd love to see you. Big shout out to everyone that's at Primary Schools Cup on the Sunshine Coast this weekend. There's lots of teams playing, having a great time in the sun on the sunny coast. Tomorrow they've got the big screens happening as well as at Primary Schools Cup so that they can watch the grand final between the Lightning and the Sydney Swifts. Do you have a prediction for tomorrow? Oh, we've been talking about it quite a bit. I think Lightning, I'd love to see them win 3 in a row. Knowles is a pretty amazing coach, so for her to go out on that note, I think that would be pretty cool. And to keep the winning, that would be Queensland won the last 5 in a row, so we'd be happy with that. Definitely something that we're working towards. Thanks, big people. We'll look forward to seeing you for the next match this afternoon between the Jets and the Bull Sharks. Actually, that could be the Ruby Series game that's about to come up, so we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you.